Rabies. The very word conjures fear, a primal dread that whispers of madness and death. It is a disease shrouded in myth and misunderstanding, yet its reality is far more terrifying than any folklore. Rabies is a viral infection, a silent stalker that attacks the nervous system. This disease, once it takes hold, is almost always fatal. It is a threat that lurks in the shadows, carried by animals, both wild and domestic. The rabies virus, a tiny packet of genetic material, invades the body and begins its insidious work. It replicates within muscle tissue, slowly but inexorably making its way to the nerves. Once the virus reaches the spinal cord and brain, the disease progresses rapidly. The infected individual, whether human or animal, undergoes a horrifying transformation. Rabies is a global threat, present on every continent except Antarctica. It is a disease that knows no boundaries, affecting both developed and developing countries. Though preventable, rabies continues to claim tens of thousands of lives each year, primarily in Africa and Asia. It is a stark reminder that even in an age of medical marvels, nature's fury can still be unleashed with devastating consequences. The fight against rabies is a race against time, a battle waged on multiple fronts. From understanding the virus's intricate mechanisms to developing effective vaccines, researchers are working tirelessly to unravel the mysteries of this ancient killer. But the battle is far from over. The threat of rabies remains, a chilling reminder of our vulnerability in the face of nature's invisible armies. Rabies spreads through a bite, a scratch, or contact with saliva from an infected animal. The virus, present in the animal's saliva, enters the victim's body through the wound. It's a stealthy enemy, often leaving no visible mark at the point of entry. Any mammal can carry rabies, but certain animals are considered high-risk carriers. These include bats, raccoons, skunks, and foxes. In developing countries, dogs are the most common source of rabies transmission to humans. These animals, often unvaccinated and roaming freely, can carry the virus without showing obvious signs of illness. The virus does not survive outside the host for long. Direct contact with an infected animal's bodily fluids, particularly saliva, is the primary mode of transmission. Casual contact, such as petting an infected animal, is unlikely to spread the virus unless there are open wounds on the person's skin. Once inside the body, the rabies virus travels through the nerves towards the central nervous system. This journey can take days, weeks, or even months. The incubation period, the time between exposure and the onset of symptoms, varies depending on factors like the location of the bite and the amount of virus transmitted. This unpredictable nature makes rabies all the more dangerous, as symptoms may appear when it's too late for effective treatment. Rabies is a disease of the nervous system, and its symptoms reflect this grim reality. The initial signs can be subtle, easily mistaken for a less serious illness. Fever, headache, and general weakness are common early symptoms. However, as the virus progresses, the symptoms become increasingly neurological. One of the hallmark symptoms of rabies is hydrophobia, an intense fear of water. This terrifying symptom arises from the virus's impact on the brain, causing painful spasms in the throat muscles when swallowing. Other neurological symptoms include confusion, agitation, hallucinations, seizures, and paralysis. In animals, the signs of rabies can vary widely depending on the species and the stage of the disease. Some animals may exhibit dramatic behavioral changes, becoming aggressive or unusually tame. Others may appear disoriented, uncoordinated, or paralyzed. Excessive drooling, difficulty swallowing, and seizures are also common signs. It is crucial to remember that any contact with a wild animal or an unfamiliar domestic animal exhibiting unusual behavior should be treated with extreme caution. Contact local animal control or health authorities immediately. Do not attempt to capture or handle the animal yourself. A historical scourge. Rabies is not a new enemy. This ancient disease has plagued humanity for centuries, its shadow stretching back through history. Ancient texts from Mesopotamia and Egypt describe a terrifying illness with symptoms eerily similar to rabies. Throughout history, rabies outbreaks have terrorized communities, leaving fear and death in their wake. In the 18th century, a series of rabies outbreaks swept across Europe, fueled by ignorance and superstition. The disease was often attributed to witchcraft or demonic possession, and treatments were often as barbaric as the disease itself. One of the most infamous rabies outbreaks in history occurred in 19th century Paris. The Mad Dogs of Paris incident saw thousands of stray dogs roaming the streets, spreading terror and the deadly rabies virus. This outbreak highlighted the need for public health measures to control rabies and prevent its spread. Even today, despite advances in medicine and public health, rabies continues to cast a long shadow over many parts of the world. In Africa and Asia, where access to healthcare and vaccination is limited, rabies remains a serious public health threat. Combating the threat. The fight against rabies is fought on two fronts: treatment after exposure and prevention. Time is of the essence if someone is bitten by a suspected rabid animal. Immediate wound care is crucial. Washing the wound thoroughly with soap and water can significantly reduce the risk of infection. Following a potential rabies exposure, a series of vaccinations are administered. These vaccinations work by stimulating the body's immune system to produce antibodies against the rabies virus. This post-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP, is highly effective in preventing the development of rabies, but it must be administered as soon as possible after exposure. Preventing rabies, however, is far more effective than treating it. Vaccination of domestic animals, particularly dogs, is the cornerstone of rabies control. By vaccinating our pets, we create a barrier of protection that limits the spread of the virus to humans. The Shield of Vaccination. Vaccination is the most effective weapon in our arsenal against rabies. It represents a triumph of science and a testament to our ability to conquer even the most formidable of diseases. Rabies vaccines are safe, effective, and widely available. For those at high risk of exposure to rabies, such as veterinarians, wildlife biologists, and travelers to rabies-endemic areas, pre-exposure vaccination is recommended. This proactive measure provides a baseline level of immunity, offering valuable time should exposure occur. Public education and awareness campaigns play a crucial role in rabies prevention. By understanding the risks of rabies and the importance of vaccination, we can create a safer environment for both humans and animals. A call for vigilance. Rabies, the silent threat, still lurks in the shadows, but we are not powerless against it. Through knowledge, awareness, and action, we can break the chain of transmission and protect ourselves and our communities. Let us be vigilant in our efforts to prevent rabies, vaccinate our pets, educate ourselves and others about the risks of rabies, report any suspected cases to the appropriate authorities. Together, we can create a future where rabies is relegated to the history books, a distant reminder of a battle won through human ingenuity and collective action.